Coming up on Open for Business, we focus on mentorship. Today on Open for Business, our focus is in-house as we celebrate partnerships in Anne Arundel County Public Schools and how they support the mentoring initiative in the district. Here today are Dr. Bedell, Superintendent of Schools, and Andre Dillard, Director of Mentorship Programs, to provide more insight on both topics. Remember to scan the QR code and send your questions and feedback for today's guests. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for being here.
Louis, thank you for having us.
I'm excited to focus on this show specifically on the importance of mentorship and partnership. Now, we've had so many relationships in our district, but mentorship is one of the most powerful ones we have. As successful adults, what are maybe one or two mentorship examples that you've had in your life that has affected where you are today?
Yeah, I'll give you two. Earlier this morning, I had an opportunity to talk to a couple of the administrative assistants in our suite, and we were talking about mentorship. Believe it or not, it really had nothing to do with the fact that I was coming down here today, but it was really an authentic conversation around how mentoring had impacted me versus perhaps my siblings. I was blessed, and I'll give you two quick examples. One, a guy by the name of Kiefer, who kind of took me under his wings when I worked at Wegmans and actually taught me how to drive. He didn't have to do it, but it was something that I will never forget, because he ultimately became a friend, but somebody who was older than me that I could look up to and talk to. Another group of folks that helped me, my best friend parents, Louis and Pat White. Those were people who came into my life when I was in the 6th grade. And for people who don't know, I grew up in a very, very distressed type upbringing, being a ward of the state of New York and being homeless. But these people kind of took me under their wings, and actually Mr. White became a mentor. I called them mom and dad to this day because they're guardians, but they helped me to navigate through the college application process, really helping me navigate through high school. Even though I lived with my grandmother, I had some people that I could go to and lean on, and even when I was matriculating through college, they were always there for me, helping me to get back and forth from Rochester to Nashville. And so the power of having a mentoring, to me, in my opinion, can make or break a kid who's experiencing a lot of adversity. And when you have good people coming into your life, it can be a game changer.
And Louis, I would even say that, mentorship is not exclusively for young people. So I would give the example as an adult. I think I probably was in, I don't know how many years I've been in teaching. I wanted to go into administration. Right. And so I looked around and thought, who would be someone who could help me on that path, who could give me some insight and wisdom. And there was a gentleman named Ed Johnson, who was I think he was a assistant principal at the time. And he took me under his wing. And he told me things and explained things to me that no one ever sat down and talked to me about. And that kind of put me on the trajectory to get into becoming an assistant principal and a principal. But if it wasn't for his guidance and his wisdom and sharing his experiences with me, I might not be sitting here today.
And it's so important to understand the impact of people from outside of where you are. Now, Dr. Bedell, you've worked in different school districts and you've been in leadership in different capacities. So because you were in different places, what has it looked like partnering with the business community and connecting different things where you found success?
Yeah, I'll give you one prime example. During my time in Kansas City, we started the very same mentoring initiative and the portfolio model that we're building here in Anne Arundel County. We started that model probably back in 2017. And because there was very strong philanthropy, as you may not know, as for a viewer, Kansas City was probably ranked number 4 in the country when it comes to one of the wealthiest cities from a philanthropy standpoint. So when we talk to businesses about the importance of helping to fund some of the social activities that we wanted to do with mentoring, but also asking businesses to come in and provide some of their individual time reaching out to students, we talked about the return that investment would give back to them, would give back to the economy, but most importantly, would help us to be able to graduate students who now can become positive community members in contributing to Kansas City community overall. It was a no-brainer, I think, for a number of these businesses that made that decision to partner with us.
And so, Mr. Dillard, for mentoring here, Like, what have been some of the successes that you can think of that have been in place recently?
So there was a young man at one of our local high schools. There was a request for him to have a mentor. So we paired him with a mentor. Now, to give some background history on this young man was his first 2 years was during the height of the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. And during that time, the vast majority of our students were virtual, right? And so he was one of these students that, as a result of being virtual, he failed all his classes his first 2 years in high school. Come his third year, he got himself together and he started really focusing and honing in and locking in on his academics. And he was able to get his GPA up and get himself together. So his senior year, his GPA wasn't that great. He was paired with a mentor and they locked in on a goal. He wanted to attend a 4-year college. And now again, his GPA was not that great. And everyone was telling him, it's great, we want you to go to college, but you're probably not going to get into a 4-year institution because of your grades, right? And so they were saying community college, which is not a bad thing, but his dream was to go to a 4-year school once he graduates. And really thinking about his environmental circumstances, that was probably what was going to be best for him. So in working with his mentor, they were able to lay out a path, and the mentor brought in resources to help. This young man now is a freshman at a 4-year college and he's thriving. Wow. So you think about, like, that was a result of that collaboration between him and his mentor.
That's such a powerful story, and it's exciting to hear that, because these are opportunities that businesses can present to the young people that we work with, but as well as the adults. So I wanted to take a moment just to thank past contributors to this show for their work and their support, because I think businesses taking the time to be a part of this school system and being a part of the community is really important. So, knowing the value that the business community has in our education system, what do you think are some steps from both of you for them to better connect and be ingratiated in what we do here?
Well, we intentionally tried to build a mentoring model that was very inclusive of everybody and what they can offer. Sometimes it's just not about the money. I think sometimes people think, all we want is a check. Nah, your presence can offer a lot more value. And so one of the things that I know we're looking to build out as a part of this mentoring model is almost like a career mentoring model. There are a lot of businesses where we have students in this school district that are probably interested in that being a career choice for them. So having people to be able to have release time by their supervisors to now come into our schools and mentor kids that have interests in wanting to do that particular work as a profession, that's a game changer, because now you're helping kids to understand what type of courses or what type of career courses that you need to take in order to hone in on your skill set to be employable by that potential employer in the future. And I think those are the kind of things that we're really trying to build out in this model, is that it is a number of different ways that people can tap in businesses in particular, to be a value add. And so that would be part of what I would offer.
All right, Mr. Dillon.
And I think about, we talk about all stakeholders, right? Our businesses, local businesses, big corporations, those are part of our stakeholders. That's part of our family when it comes to our school system. And I love the fact that, Dr. Bedell, being an innovator of himself, like he started this trend of saying, look, let's lead by example, not just by talking about it. So he has allowed, non-school-based personnel like myself, like you, to be able to go out and serve as mentors during our work day. He gives us that work release time to serve as mentors. And so we also have some other partners and businesses that are doing that. The City of Annapolis, we have a partnership with the City of Annapolis, Mayor Buckley, where he's allowing city workers to go out and serve as mentors during their work day. And I think that's so important, because now we can really reach out and serve more students. Because as you can guess, now we're in year 2 of really looking at our mentorship initiative. our request is growing as far as the amount of mentors that people are asking for. So it's great now that we can lean towards our businesses and other community members and saying, hey, we need you, help us to provide these supports for our students, because we know that for some of them, it can be the difference between left and right.
You mentioned that you're in the second year and that there has been growth. So the one thing I for sure want to do is celebrate that there has been growth. And so because that growth exists, what are some of the planning points that you are looking forward to doing as you continue to grow? Because what you had planned for at the beginning has probably changed a little bit and been enhanced. So what are you looking forward to?
Well, for me, I think it's just a matter of tracking the data, looking at the successes. Data will allow for me then to advocate differently. If we feel like it is benefiting students to the extent of what you heard Mr. Dillard talk about with that one example of the kid that's now in a 4-year college. Ultimately, we have to have bandwidth to handle this growth. He can't do it all by himself. So, as I think about budget requests and things of that nature, he's going to need some additional personnel to handle the growth. And that is where I think my advocacy can really help. But I also know that we have to track data to truly understand the impact that mentoring is having, that I know is having. And then for me, the last piece is, like I got to make sure that I'm more present. So I am one of the mentors, but I'm a part of the group mentoring model. And working with some of the young men over at Annapolis High School, that is something that brings me a lot of joy. But just continuing to lead by example, where we may not have the resources to have a whole bunch of people doing it, but we can also do our part in making sure that we're more present to handle some of this growth.
Okay. And I want to make 2 points. So, and Dr. Bedell, he had a great segue into making sure that people understand there. We have a couple options here. We have it where you can be a one-on-one mentor, right? But you can also work with a group, because some people just don't have the time to maybe go in as frequently as they like to. But if they can find a group that you can partner with, I think that's very important. So we have these options, right? And the other thing I want to think about, Dr. Bedell talked about the data. I love the fact that we can show that our mentorship initiatives aligns with our strategic plan, right? If you look at our strategic plan for the next 5 years, when I think about the goal under the academic achievement piece, it talks about students being able to read on grade level by a certain grade level, right? We have mentoring programs that specifically focus on literacy through mentoring, which is so important. Most of our mentoring programs, whether it be a group or whether it be an individual, they're having these conversations about coming to school on a regular basis, right? So we're hitting that priority of students not, falling out of those chronic absenteeism categories, making sure students are coming to school. And then we're just thinking about our ultimate goal, right? We talk about that transitional readiness of students being able to graduate within 4 years, right? Those are conversations that our mentors that are working at the secondary level, whether it be as an individual or as a group, are focusing on ways that we can ensure that our students are going to graduate. That might mean that we're having conversations with them about credit recovery, right? It might mean, so we're talking about twilight school and evening school. It might mean, whatever it is, we're making sure that they have those supports and someone's there to help them to advocate also so that they can graduate, they can get the resources. And so I love the fact there's alignment. Our mentorship initiatives directly supports and falls in line with our strategic plan.
And I love that part. And even if the businesses don't necessarily understand what the strategic plan is, their strategy is to be successful. And so being in the community is something that gets them there. So as we close, what's the best way to learn about the mentoring program and to get connected to what we do here in the district?
So they can just go to our website, right? www.aacps.org. Go to the search bar and type in mentoring. It'll take you to our mentoring website that tells you all the information as far as what are the requirements. It'll talk about the brief application. It highlights some of our community partners that are already working with us on that website. And then it'll also show that we have these requirements. One of the beautiful things now is we have taken away some of the burdens or reasons why people might not want to become mentors. Like now we are covering the cost of the fingerprinting. So no one has to worry about coming out of their pocket to serve our school system. We're taking that on. But it highlights all that information on our website.
Dr. Bedell, did you have any final thoughts on the business community connecting with our mentoring program?
Yeah, I mean, I just think we just need to really look at the return on investment and what those partnerships can do for the students in Anne Arundel County. We are a rapidly fast growing school district, one of the fastest growing school districts in the state. But our population is becoming more and more diverse, which is a healthy thing, in my opinion, around what Anne Arundel County will look like in the future. So, how do we just have those partnerships to help offer those adult related advocacy experiences for our students, but also the opportunities to make sure that these partnerships are leading us to provide experiences that some of our kids otherwise would not be able to afford, right? So it's two-pronged. I mean, like I said, it is about being present. It's also about investing into the school district to help fund things that we're not able to do. That also will open up opportunities for kids to have some of those rich social and emotional aspects that this mentoring program is looking to bring and provide for students.
Well, thank you both, gentlemen. I appreciate that. And thank you all for watching Open for Business. Again, remember to scan the QR code to send your questions and give feedback for today's guests. And again, thank you for watching Open for Business.